Hello everybody and welcome to Arcade. Today we are going to talk about something that's kind of been on my mind. Retro gaming versus modern day gaming and the tactics and the things they use to get more money out of us. So stay tuned, see if you agree or disagree. Alright, I'm going to try to make this short and sweet, but I tend to ramble, so I'm sorry if I do. I love retro gaming. Love arcade retro gaming. It brings me back to my childhood. Something I really aspire to have again. And that's kind of why I'm getting into the arcade scene. I'm telling you, I know I'm late to the party. I've been kind of watching Arcade 1-Up for the last few years. Wasn't sure if they're going to stick around this long. But I've built main cabinets and everything like that in the past and that, but there's something about having a whole arcade that just definitely appeals to me. So, but quick thanks to so many people out there in this community. I know I'm new and I'm late, and it's I know I'm small time, but some people that have really helped me out is P-Dubs, Console Kits, She-Lion, so many people, all the people on iiRcadians, 19K. I know I'm missing a whole bunch of people, but just let you know, if you're in that community, I'm watching. So I may not always speak, but I'll tell you I'll be watching. So, and I watch your videos and your past lives if I miss them, because it seems like everybody has some weird ass time that they're doing, you know. And some people are like, I know it's all different parts of the world, but for me it's like so sporadic. Nothing is like during dinner time for me. You know, that's the best time to sit there and watch YouTube. But so with that out of the way, arcade gaming, it brings me back to my childhood, something that I'm absolutely passionate about. I used to bike my butt clear across town to the other side to go to my favorite arcade with my allowance. I'd have like $2 to $5. Excuse me. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but back then it was pretty decent. And I always played like it was my last quarter. I never did the continues and stuff like that. It was more of a way to try to maximize time out of my money the best I can. And once I got down to like $1 left or whatever, I'd have 4 games left. I only played games I knew I was good at, and I could definitely stretch that out, as long as I have a good session, you know. But sometimes you make mistakes, and there it goes, right? Now, I really enjoyed that. There was a commodity in the arcades. There was something about going there and actually playing the games is, I don't know, if you've never done it, you can't. It's the atmosphere, the sounds, the sometimes the smells, you know, because arcades weren't always the top-notch cleanest places, but you know, they're greater. Most towns had, you know, 2, 3, and when I say towns, I mean like cities. I don't mean, you know, a population of 500, but they had a lot, and there was just something about going there and seeing regulars and people that you play against frequently, you know. So it was definitely an era, you know. Gen X, I think, is probably one of the greatest generations, and I'm not saying that because I'm in it. I really think for technology, we got to see the very beginning all the way to what it is today, which is absolutely amazing. And it was something that just is you have to experience. And like, even if you go to modern arcades, it's not the same. You know, like you go to Dave and Buster's or Palladium, stuff like that. You don't get that same feeling. You at least I don't. There's something about going up to a machine that you want to play, and there's a guy there, and he's playing. And he's good, and the only way to get him off that machine is you gotta, some arcade etiquette. In case you don't know, you put a quarter down on the glass, right? The guy has to accept it. It's usually the rules of the arcade if it's a head-to-head game, and winner stays. And that's how it is. It sucks if you're in the 2-player spot though, because most people play on the 1-player spot, right? And everything's reversed. So, unless you're good at challenging, even if you won, it might be a couple matches later and you might be off just because you're on the weak side. We always called that the weak side. So, but that kind of love and passion that people had, it was great, and you would see regular people that are really, really good there. So for me, a lot of it is atmosphere, the getting out of the house, going somewhere and doing it. And you know what? I never got into trouble going to the arcades. It was always a good time. I'm not saying there wasn't riffraff around and that. There always was, but that was kind of how it was. They didn't force like. They were mostly in downtown sections, so with any downtown section, even modern day, you get a few that just probably shouldn't be in the establishment. However, on the most part, it was great, and that is something that I don't know if I'm trying to capture again or relive, but it is something that you can't explain unless you really experienced it, I think. And then walking into those arcades and seeing a new game, when I saw Dragon's Lair for the first time, blew my mind. It was like, it was just this. I saw it and I watched it, and I'm like, how is this a video game? I can play this, and it was the first of its time base, and it was 50 cents. When I saw that, I looked down at the coin slot. And I went, so for $1, I can only play this twice? And then you see other people playing it. So you'll watch for a while to learn the moves so that you can get a little bit. And I remember my mistake was, didn't realize there was a randomness to the scenes, right? So that kind of threw me for a loop. There is a structure to it, but for me, I couldn't figure it out at the time. So now that I have Dragon's Lair on my iiRcade, I'm gonna beat it one day. And if you ever see a video, finally beat Dragon's Lair, I finally did it. And I'm learning it the right way, not with the arrows on the hints. So I'm gonna do it the old school way, just like how I wanted to do it in the arcade, but never had the money to learn it. And that brings me to continues. So most arcades really banked and hoped on you doing continues, because you get a lot less time play, because it's a new area. Usually it's a difficult area, and you're not going to last nearly as long as your first quarter did. So if you put in one quarter, you last 5 minutes, great. You go to hit continue, probably 9 times out of 10, you're lucky if that quarter lasted you 2 or 3 minutes. I'm just throwing numbers out there. There's nothing scientific behind this, but it's just the system. And that's kind of why they have dip switches too, is when games were doing really, really, really good, and they would increase the difficulty so that you would die faster. Hopefully is the actual the hope for the business. So they would increase difficulties on popular games, increase speed, stuff like that. All sorts of things. You know the dip switches if you're into MAME at all and actual ROMs and the original games. So that was their tactics back then. Was basically everything was money per hour. So if you played 5 minutes of a game, right, and it continued to do that, you're looking at what, $3 an hour. Okay, and then you gotta account overhead and hydro bills, because hydro bills for these places obviously notorious, like just out of there. I'm sure anybody who actually has real full-sized arcades in their home, those things are running only when they're being played usually. I mean, some people have more money than others, but so back in the day, to get our money to try to get us addicted to a game, they relied a lot on dip switches and continuing, and everything was, price per minute, how much money that machine's making. If a machine is making a lot, you can guarantee that they're going to bring up the difficulty a little bit to cycle even more money through it. Not every place did this, but a lot of the main traction places, they really kept an eye on how much money each machine was making, and they tried to maximize it. And you'll even see some games that aren't doing so good, and they'll jack it up. I remember one time I went to an arcade, and it wasn't one that I normally went to, and there was a game, and it had a poster on the side of it, and it said, "Dip switches changed, game is even easier." So I've never seen that. Maybe they just didn't want to get rid of that game, and they wanted just more people to put some money in it, because it wasn't being played. I don't even remember the game. It was something I've never really seen or had an interest in. So, but they did stuff like that back in the day. If anybody else has experienced stuff like that, share it. Definitely talk about it in the comments. And on that note, like, share, comment. I know it's the YouTube thing. I don't feel really right saying that. I think everybody should know how YouTube works, and if you like the content, hit the buttons. Anyway, so let's move on a little bit. That's a little bit on how they would. Oh, and another way they would try to get our money is usually, perfect example, Dragon's Lair. When that first came out, it was the loudest machine in the entire arcade. I could be in this, where I played, there was zappers, and there was 2 columns of arcades, and like 2 rooms, but very long. And then I could be playing pinball way at the back corner in the other room, and the pinball machines were quite loud. I could hear Dragon's Lair's attract mode or somebody playing, and when they die, I could hear that all the way over there. That attract modes were big in the arcades, and just another way to get you to be committed to play that game, or at least try it, or suck in all those continues, and $30 later you're still not even halfway through the game. I haven't done that. I was always smart with my money, but those were kind of the tactics that they did back then, and pretty reasonable. I mean, as a business standpoint, you definitely want to maximize every game. You get a hot game, you want to make sure that quarter is going in every few minutes, right? And that's why arcades loved fighting games so much, because each game would be 2-3 minutes, 4 minutes tops. Maybe you went to a tiebreaker, and there's a quarter, and people keep challenging each other, right? They just completely cycle. Like, every time a game's being played, that's 50 cents for 4 minutes. 3 minutes is some of the, you really get your butt kicked, and a minute later, and flawless victory, and the arcade just made an extra quarter in 1 minute, or 50 cents in 1 minute, of gameplay, and that really brings up the points. So anyway, I'm rambling, I know, I'm sorry. Modern day. Let's get to modern day. Modern day games I have a problem with. Love the games, love the graphics, I love how far it's gone. I mean, some of the things are just absolutely amazing. You know, even VR. I have a Quest 2 over there. You know, like I can't say enough of how far technology's gone, and I never really, when I was younger, I would not have thought the graphics that we have now. No way, no way. I mean, seeing Dragon's Lair, it was still a cartoon, you know. It was all hand drawn and everything like that. So that's what made it so impressive for its time. I mean, it came out what, 83? I think it was 83, and I think Space Ace came out at the end of 83, just before Christmas, I think. Anyway, but today's modern day games are absolutely amazing. Graphical gameplay, size, length of gameplay, replayability. You know, there's so much in today's games, and the teams that need to be involved in order to make these great titles. You know, 500 plus team members sometimes, you know, and no, I'm not going to throw around AAA and bangers and all that stuff. We got to let that go for 23 people. So, all right. My problems with modern day gaming is microtransactions. It's literally, in my opinion, it's a complete scam. They're banking on addiction, they're banking on gambling, and they will do whatever it takes to get you to buy in-game currency and packages and this and that. You know, and battle passes. Oh, that's a whole other thing. You know, and I'm not just talking like Fortnite, and you know, like they're all guilty of it one way or another. I mean, and I get it for a free-to-play game. I understand that for a free-to-play game, they got to make their money back. But I think there should be, it should be a little bit more, say, honest. You know, I don't know how they could really do it more honest, but there has to be another way if you're going to do free-to-play games. You shouldn't have to count on somebody's addiction or them trying to be the next, beat their buddies and stuff like that, or FOMO or any of that stuff, right? And FOMO is a real thing. Like, there's, just research it, you'll see, even on YouTube, just type it in. Addicted to mobile games, addicted to this, addicted to that. I spent $50,000 on PUBG, or, you know, I'm just throwing things out there, but you get the point. So, with that said, I think it's kind of a scummy way to get your money. You know, I'm not saying you don't deserve money. I'm not saying that. These developers and that, they all deserve to get paid. But like, what was Fortnite? They grossed like 11 billion or something like that. Some way out there number, and it just drove. When you see that, you know, like how many parents' credit cards were stolen? How many kids that every penny they made doing their paper route or their odd jobs or mowing lawns all went into that game, right? That's not right. You're not teaching the kids the proper fundamentals they need. But that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other channel. So, but when it comes down to it, there's always a tactic to get your money. I just think that the arcade was a little bit more direct about it. It wasn't hidden behind anything, obviously, because the technology wasn't there. You know, but today's games, I think they need to come up with a better system, and that's why I don't play much modern games anymore. I was like, why do I need this stuff? Why am I feeling obligated to purchase this? Yes, I feel obligated to spend some money so that they can continue doing what they do, and they did a great job on the game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. I'm not saying that they're not doing great jobs. They are, and every single one of them deserves to be paid. But how they're getting paid it's almost like dirty money, you know. That's just the way I look at it. If you agree, great. If you don't, great. Let me know in the comments. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you hate the video, I get it. But I'm just kind of brainstorming, kind of talking freehand here, and just off the cuff and see what comes out. But I pretty much, that's kind of how I feel, and that's why I think arcade gaming, retro gaming, like MAME gaming, like any of those classics, we'll call it ROM gaming, whether it's an arcade 1-up or whatever. But they really need to stop throwing in emulate like knockoffs. Like Killer Instinct, I have 1 and 2, and then they throw in Battletoads, and then they throw in the 8-bit version, the 16-bit. What? Come on. Am I the only one that thinks Battletoads should not be anywhere near a Killer Instinct machine? Let me know.